Well, I guess I'll read the mission of the HRC. The purpose of the Bismarck Human Relations Committee is to create an atmosphere of inclusion, equality, and accessibility through education and outreach to recognize the value of a diverse community. So do we have any public comment? No one online either. All right, did everyone have a chance to review the minutes? Any changes that anybody saw?
Yes.
Okay,
Under, it says approval of minutes number 3, and then it says member Jorgensen. I noticed Katie's last name is spelled incorrectly, as well as in number 4.
He's consistent.
Yeah. And then, on page 3, or I guess that's how it printed out, sorry. So second page of the minutes under A, it says Sherry Butsky.
it should be chairperson, I'm assuming.
Yeah. Yeah. And then if you go down to number 6 under C, car should be Czar.
Great. Any other changes? Get a motion to approve pending the corrections that Betsy talked about.
I'll make a motion to approve pending Betsy talked about.
I will second your motion.
Any other discussion?
Thanks for your level of.
Well, let's go.
No, it's good.
All in favor? Aye. All right. Moving on, so I handed you guys out, and we were supposed to talk about this last time, but we didn't get enough time. This one. This is actually from the survey from the community conversations. As you guys remember, when we did that, Kaylin sent out a survey that people could take, or they could access it online as far as transportation concerns, and then also solutions for some transportation issues that they had. So I took a spreadsheet of all the information that Kaylin had sent out, and I tried to put it into kind of a synopsis. So I did it in this type of spreadsheet. So here it talks about, and if some of them were the same, I didn't generally repeat them. So some of the issues that came out of it, so that came out of the community conversations as well, the in-person one. So the fact that transit is taking a lot of time, especially paratransit. One of the concerns was having to sit so close with other people, just in case someone else would have a potential illness. Not being able to book last minute. Not having access on the bus route to food pantries. Not having any transportation in the community for appointments, especially for appointments for their child. There's been some change of the ASD waiver is the autism spectrum disorder waiver. And there's been some changes in that where originally agencies could transport individuals and it would be paid for by the state. It's no longer that way. So that was their concern that they don't have that transportation. So now they have to pay for it. Hours is a big thing, of course, wanting around the clock transportation, things being more affordable, a variety aside from transit, looking at that. They think that the city is poorly designed for a transportation system, not having enough drivers as well as an influx of riders at certain times, transit not being able to accommodate to people's schedules, people being embarrassed to ride the bus, ride share is not reliable in town, like sometimes it's hard to get either Uber or Lyft, having to walk farther distances to get the off the bus. The paratransit can't go to certain places that are still considered city limits. This was, they had their mother live with them or something, and there was Heritage Bridge and they had a concern with that. People had concerns paying for transit at all. And then elderly clients waiting too long to be picked up and too long after appointments, and then not having the reliable ADA vehicles. And then some solutions are on the back. So having loan programs where you can actually lend vans out. So ND80 has this in certain cities in North Dakota, including Grand Forks is the big one, where you can lend out handicap accessible vehicles, like when you're taking people to appointments, and we've actually done that with my agency before. When we had to take an individual family, had to take them on an appointment. So coordinating with taxi service for reduced rates in town, because it's a little bit more expensive, of course, than transit. Having private businesses to supplement transportation, and then to set up tours for new people potentially, have that transportation available, and then to show them around town for new people. And vouchers available for people that are impoverished, and then routes closer to the food pantries, and then advocate for reimbursement. Rideable, he was there, I believe, the guy who oversees that, so I think some of these answers were his later on, but looking at having that as an option. Purchase different buses rather than the ones that they have, having more competitive wages. Having the traffic engineers do better setup of the city and transportation, more bus shelters and improvement on snow removal. Number 11 is an opinion, pay people that are homeless and drive them to Fargo. Extended transportation times, smaller vans. Bus ridership incentives, Fargo's local business to give incentives if they're riding the bus. Extended hours, more routes, extended parts of the city for paratransit. More part-time drivers, the busiest parts of the day, so it's not as hard to access it. And then having Mandan pay, which they do pay a percentage. More individualized rides. And so such as having a transit system that just goes to clinics or just goes to appointments. And then this one, I think, was the guy from Rideable. A city administrative safety and insurance fund that increased the supply of transportation providers. And an insurance policy. Rideable using that as a technology and vending partner, but have a central hub. And then a voucher program. And then lastly, and I haven't researched this one, but there's some type of system or service called Prime and using something like that. It's with Southwest Transit. Commissioner Conley, do you want to kind of update what has gone forward with the Transportation Steering Committee or Doug, so we know what has happened since this?
Yeah, well, even before the community conversation, it was always known that there was, they were spending on reserves. And it originally was looking like they were gonna spend 1.2 to 1.5 in reserves. But the feds actually increased the amount that they were going to pay, and then the gas prices going down helped them significantly, and a couple of other funding sources. So that actually dropped to where it's just under $1 million. So at the meeting that I wasn't able to make it to, Dustin Gervalone got a second, and they have an up to portion to where they allotted for $1 million. We were originally told when we were getting the signatures on the initiated measure that we would not be able to access the money until 2026. And then somewhere along the line, that information changed when no rules changed. So it was kind of interesting. So it made it possible to where they won't have to go through their reserves with that motion. So they'll still have that in the backdrop. But we have.
That's just to shore up their 2025
Right.
budget.
Yep.
Just for clarity.
Yeah, so we're gonna get there.
Just regarding transit.
This is just
Yeah.
regarding transit.
Yep.
And we just barely started collecting the revenue. So when the money's available, that's going to happen. And then since then, this was a discussion at the last, there is another, was 1.1,
Yes.
right? Talked about, it was just on consensus, since we don't have revenues there, we don't want to write checks when revenues aren't available. But talking about adding another 1.1 so they can change the hours of operation from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. So people can actually have a ride to work and back from work, vice versa. And that's on the CAT. And they interchange CAT and para, depending on how many riders they have, they'll use the vehicles accordingly.
Motion was also to expand services of paratransit.
Yeah.
Extend the hours on Sunday and also open that up to the public.
On Sundays.
Sundays and holidays.
Okay. That's what I thought, 2000.
Holidays,
Oh, thank you.
it was asked, but they said at this point in time, because ridership, I think she said was like a max of 165. It was pretty low, so they couldn't justify the costs versus the. But it's something that certainly, if ridership grows, that'll be on the table.
With, tell me if I'm incorrect in this, with the funding system in place, paratransit has to have at least the same amount of, same hours of operation as the CAD? Or am I not correct?
Yeah, they all had, the para, it has to be coupled with for the allotted time that the federal grant goes. So it only has to match the 7 a.m. to 7 p.m.
Okay.
Anything outside those hours is local dollars or separate grants. It's not based on the federal continuum. We've always had more robust system for communities our size than a lot of the areas around the country. Like, we were the only 24-hour-a-day para for a long time. It just wasn't sustainable financially. So when Deidre got hired, that was one of the first things that, for survival's sake, they had to let go of, because
And when you're saying it's going to be open for the public is going to pay for the.
Yeah.
Or, and it is an established already price that they have, or it's going to.
that'll be developed out. You know, we still have to build the policy around it.
That's coming.
Yeah. That'll be a lot of internal.
Does anybody else have any questions on that?
We're changing like time. Has there been any discussion around like changing routes or changing?
The only discussion about changing a route is getting something closer to CHI and how the timing works out. They've been doing time studies to see how it works out. It's close to CHI, but it's still
A
like that.
circular route.
Yeah,
So there were a few things that were discussed in the steering committee, trying to restructure routes so they're more out and back, and, maximum would be 30 minutes. We're just not there yet as a committee. We tackled these first two kind of low hanging fruit, where we were lacking and where the gaps were. The committee will continue to meet as we get further along to discuss adding more routes, which would shorten the length of, or, other vouchers are a part of that discussion. There's a lot still to be.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money that we'll have coming in.
Yeah.
We can afford to.
and the mayor and I have still, and administration still have to sit down with Amanda, and they're a whole separate governing entity, so
Yeah.
we want to make sure we respect the conversation
Yeah.
and don't talk past them, and that's the right thing to do. I mean, we found the funding source for both sides of the river. Now it's just making sure we can respect and get into those conversations the right way. A lot of different personalities.
Yeah. I missed the committee conversation because I was traveling out of town. Was there just any like general feedback from the transportation committee or anyone else, just in terms of like, was it successful? Did we feel as though we as a committee were able to put together a panel that was reflective of diverse perspectives? Like, is there any sort of debrief in terms of how it went generally?
I think as far as the conversation, I think it went well. I thought there was very diverse perspectives of different populations, and I think we did a good job at reaching all of those. There's some things I wasn't aware of that I've learned, and I have tons of people that ride paratransit, because we serve people with developmental disabilities. And I think to have, but the one that was the actual rider of, I don't know if it's CAT or paratransit, Matthew, it was his name. He did a great job talking about how it really impacted him. So I think it went well. You guys,
Yeah,
Maribel
it
was there.
went well too. My perspective, I think it was a lot of input. The information that we didn't know
Yeah.
existed was brought up. I think it was very useful to hear things.
There were people
Need
that
to be fixed.
had used it or that use it consistently that weren't even on the panel that came up and
Right.
talked about their concerns and ideas that they had that I also haven't even thought about.
Well, and then the safety issue, that was a good one to bring up. And like even this morning, I was at 1 Million Cups in front of the Patterson. Even in the loading zone and all there's like 2 parking spots, loading zone, and it was parking all the way down. So do we consider possibly taking those first 2 parking spots away so they can just turn the corner and park as a minimum? But because also snow removal, if people are parked there all day, how do you get that space? And that's a lot of people that use the service right there. That's where Trevor gets on and off at all the time. So they're double parking a lot in order to get people on for streets that just don't get shoveled because there's always cars there. And there were a couple other, and I know of other locations too, because, I mean, even during the initiated measure, because Trevor wanted to be involved, he'd let me take his chair out of, here. And we couldn't get into half the buildings because battery would drag on the runner going into the door. ADA door, automatic, couldn't get in the door because he's dragging. So we learned a lot about going around downtown.
The community conversations verified a lot of what the steering committee was talking about, so that was great. You know, we weren't just speaking and having ideas inside of a box. It was actually confirmed with users. So that was really nice. And to kind of build on what Commissioner Conley said, the safety aspect, having areas set aside where people are waiting, not just on the side of the road where there's bump outs. That was a bigger part of the community conversation than anything had been addressed or discussed during the steering committee. So that was a great additional add-on to what we had already talked about in the committee.
And then also one of the things that came up during the subcommittee that was forgotten to be mentioned at the community conversation, but they wanted to bring it up is Voc Rehab when transit's listed. It's like the employers don't even want to talk about it. So transit's done a lot, but that tells us that we got to get the VR out there to make sure that they can meet the needs. They've narrowed it. You don't have to have a reservation 2 weeks ahead of time now. It can be 4, if it's during high congestion times, like 8 o'clock in the morning, 4 days. If it's during a time where there's not as much use, it's sometimes very few. Just depends on where they're at. But that doesn't mean there's not room to improve. And the better we can meet those Voc Rehab needs, the more easily we can get people back to work.
All right, anybody else have anything? So, since Joan and Tia aren't here, I think maybe we should wait till the next meeting to set a date for our next community conversation. Last time, what day of the week was it? Do you remember? We've had it on Wednesdays before, and then we decided not to have it on Wednesdays because of church. So it's either Tuesdays or Thursdays, generally Thursdays, right? So if before the next meeting, if everybody could look at their schedule and we could look at setting it for potentially a Thursday in October is when we're gonna do the next one. And the next one, the topic is gonna be homelessness or houselessness or whatever we want to call it will be the next topic. So-
A Thursday on, like, not the first city commission week.
Okay.
Because I have planning and zoning. It's like I'd be taking a vacation week. Too
So
many days.
we'll look at that at the next meeting. So if you guys wanna look at your calendars. And then,
The only other thing I was thinking along those lines is, November is like National Homelessness Month. So there might be like, when we think about like who we could potentially partner with as subject matter experts and so on, maybe there's something that we could be doing sort of alongside them potentially. So something for us to think about. So maybe looking at either October or
yeah,
November.
so if you can look at October, November, your schedules and that, and then we can talk about that. I had no idea. Thanks
Yeah.
for looking it up.
Well, because that's one of the reasons I was sort of interested in how it went, because I think we've talked about, well, first of all, I think our committee should always aim to bring people together in ways, but I think we're gonna see more attendance if we can align it with whether it's what other things are happening in our community, or in the case of the transportation committee, we needed a mechanism to be able to get that public comment and hold those forums. So it's just something for us to think about in terms of strategy for those. I think we might actually see more attendance if we can align it with things that feel really important in our community, I think at the time. I don't know. But it's not always going to happen that way.
And we did take, we did those sheets, the feedback sheets, and we only had 2 of them that came back. One of them was actually someone from the transportation committee, which is Mike Taylor. And he had talked about that he thinks the biggest topic to discuss was actually discussion of having a low bearing shelter. And the second one was someone who actually went up and spoke as far as a community conversation. Randy, she just basically said that she enjoyed being able to speak and give comment about her concerns or things regarding transportation. So people could have made comments online in as far as these surveys go, but those are the two that we got from the actual community conversation.
Just a kudos plug for Randy and Janine.
Yes.
They turned in about 7 sheets full of signatures. They did a lot.
Is Janine the one, is she the one who works at Sanford?
No,
No.
they're both the ones that they work at locker room down in the mall.
Oh, okay.
Janine been a chair,
Oh, okay.
Randy, but they're two peas in a pod that take care of each other.
All right, so let's move on to community events. Let's do a brief of Pride. So myself, Betsy and Marabella all volunteered and then Joan volunteered. I was kind of talking, the one thing that we probably need to look at for next year is we probably should have 2 people at the beginning and 2 people at the end for sure, just as far as the canopy goes and the setup of that and the takedown of it. So Joan was by herself, to begin, but someone beside her helped her out. And then I was next. I was there, my son helped me a little bit, but it was mostly just me and I was fine as far as that goes. I mean, 2 is optimal. If we can have 2 per shift, but we don't have to. I thought it was less busy than in the past, but I still had a significant amount of people that I was able to talk to. What are your guys' thoughts since you were there as well?
We did have people approaching us and asking what we're doing and what. We did, like. Every few minutes, somebody would just.
Yeah, there was not a whole lot of downtime. Yeah. Busy enough for me who doesn't have my spiel down yet, so.
I finally have it down after 3 years.
I think in between me and her, we got it.
Yeah, we covered everything,
Yeah.
because what I didn't say, she would pipe in and vice versa, so I mean, it worked out,
Yeah.
we did well, but.
For us as a new people, I think we did all right.
Yeah, I'm sure you guys did fine. Great.
We talked about volunteers and that we have that, and if you're interested, take our booklet and let's, get together if you need, you can reach us and we have events coming up. And we'll need your input and in conversation we have, and, we covered almost everything that more important for the public to know what exactly we are doing.
I tried to talk with the community conversation, everybody that we talked to, and also that our meetings are open to the public. Whitney, one thing that Betsy and I noticed, actually Betsy, I think, noticed, is on the brochure, on the first page, it says there's 9 members. But later on, it says there's 7. So we may want to, and I never looked at it in detail besides that, but I can take one and look at it in detail just to see if there's any other changes that we might need to make, so we don't continually have to change it. Not that that's a huge deal, but one part it says 9 and one part it says 7, so. And Betsy noticed that.
Actually.
No, my son noticed it.
He,
My son noticed it.
yep.
He was reading it.
Yep,
He was
yep.
reading it.
And then you noticed also, we don't do essays anymore.
Yeah,
And that
one of
was
the
on there
one of
too.
the activities we don't do anymore, so we may want to change that as well. So anything else about Pride that we want to talk about? This year, they actually had us registered and we're all good, so some going there and setting up, aside from just needing help with the canopy, that's great, is what John said. Next year, we also have to remember, which we forgot this year and I brought them for her, is rocks, just in case it's windy, because otherwise things will start blowing away. Next off, Juneteenth, so that we've registered for, we've paid the sponsorship. It's June 28th from 4 to 9. And you remind me who was gonna
I think it was
assist.
Betsy and I.
So I thought so too, okay.
Yeah. Do we think we need to bring the canopy to that?
I don't think we've never had a canopy in the past, but I don't think people generally bring it to that one.
Yeah, no.
Because it's later in the day, it's not we learn how generally, it
Yeah.
is with Pride, and it's not all day either. I think is it at Kiwanis? I can look it up.
Yes.
Okay.
Do you know, Betsy, when you ideally? I mean, I could do 4 to 7 or something. When are you available? During that time period?
If I need to get off early, I can. However, I get off at 4:30, so I can be there by, it's like Juana's probably 5:15 at the latest.
Well, I could do the beginning, like the setup in the beginning, and do like 4 to 6:30 or something, just so then we can have a little crossover and then. Yeah. We might not necessarily need to table till 9.
Probably not. Whitney, have we gotten anything from them in regards to what time we can set up or anything?
No, I haven't received any information. I still think they're in kind of their planning stages though, as far as setup goes. Because they just reached out to the mayor about speaking at the event, so I know they're still working out some of those things.
It's like next weekend.
Commissioner Rish is going to,
So you'll send to us, Whitney, if there's any details that come out
Yeah, I will send on.
today, though.
Okay.
Is everything in there?
I don't know, do we need a table? I don't think we've needed one in the past, but if we do, could you come and get it later?
Yeah.
I don't want you to take it now if we don't need it.
No, yeah.
I can't-
get it.
I don't think we've needed it in the past, because generally in the past we've used my table, and I know they never asked for my table, so.
Okay.
So Whitney, could you send information that we get out to Katie and Betsy for sure?
Yeah, I can just send it to my HRC group, and so anybody who can make it
Yeah.
will get the
Anyone else
information.
can, 'cause I think Tia will be back with them. Anything else in regards to that event? I didn't realize it was still so soon until I looked at it right now.
Yeah.
The Buddy Walk, we also have paid the sponsorship fee for that. I did talk to Kendra a few times since then, so they're looking for if any of us want to volunteer, which I'm gonna volunteer already, so, but 10 to 12, for sure they're looking, or that's the time of the Buddy Walk, sorry, 10 to 12. They look at having people volunteers probably as early as 8 and later than 12, of course. And then also, they're looking for like a couple days before they put together the packets for the teams. So each team, every member gets like a t-shirt and then a swag packet. So they have different people come and put those together. So she said if anybody really want to do that, but I get more information from her as it gets closer to the event. But that's an opportunity if we want to volunteer. So I asked her in regards to if they have people with tables there. They do, but they really don't like people. I really don't think it would be privy for us to do it because they don't want people telling a lot about their organizations. It just seemed like
Yeah.
maybe some tables for people to do face painting and stuff, but we really want to get to promote our organization. It would just be helping. So I would just say we probably shouldn't do that, but we can definitely volunteer if we want. So we can talk about that as it gets closer, but just if you want to put that on your calendar, it's the 27th. The event is from 10 to 12. It's a walk around the Capitol and it promotes and goes towards people for that have Down syndrome. Designer Jeans is the one who sponsors it, so.
Would you be able to send out, or like the contact if we're interested in volunteering?
Yep, so she's gonna send me as they start signing up volunteers, she's gonna send me, I think we just email her, but I don't think they're getting like a form, but she's gonna send me that information,
Okay.
so. Any other events that are on here that we may wanna look at for sponsorships or volunteering or anything else? Whitney, did the downtowners ever get back to you on the cultural one that they have sometimes?
I got a message from Dawn today. She said that they don't have anything planned as of yet, but they were thinking like August or September for their next event, and they would provide information as they had it. So whatever they sent to me, I will forward on to you guys.
I can't remember, did we talk about the cultural one last time, or do we need to debrief on that one? Okay, so I think, were you the only one? Oh, Maribel, I think, was there.
Oh,
I
and
think we
then,
said something, but that was something for global neighbors that you said we can find money in lessons for promotional materials or something like that.
Did Global Neighbors, last year, did we ever give that donation to them, or did they send the invoice so we could donate something to them for that event that they had?
I would have to look back at our funding last year and I don't remember off the top of my head if that was one of them or not.
So Katie, anything you want to talk about the cultural event at all?
I mean, it was a great event overall, I would say. I just was really impressed. They theme it and there was just a lot of incredible performances and things like that. We were tucked into one of the meeting rooms in the Heritage Center, so I wouldn't say there's a lot of traffic because there was like the performance there and then we were there. But I mean, I had, it was interesting. I had much more in-depth conversations with fewer people, but they were the types of conversations, like people that were like, could come for public comment, right? Or could be interested in being a part of our committee. So, I mean, I definitely think it was a worthwhile event, especially in this case for, Asian American communities here. So
And
I
they
think it's
have,
something we should put on our radar.
they have them, what, quarterly? Is that when they have them?
I thought the Cultural Expo was annually, but I do know Joan's organization does those regular
Yeah.
library events.
And they
Yeah.
have different, yes, ethnic groups
Yes,
featured.
yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we have Joan visit about that if they have any coming up at the next meeting too.
It was a good amount of people.
Didn't Global Neighbors do that though too, right?
Yeah, they used to do it at the Gateway Mall.
Yeah.
I-
They used to have that in a
I
while.
looked back at the budget last year and what we spent, and I believe that since Global Neighbors didn't go through with their gala, that we didn't do a donation. I think it got canceled for whatever reason last year.
I know Tia's on the board, so if they have anything, I know she would bring it when she's speaking, so we'll see.
I know they have an event this weekend. The global neighbors have,
Yeah, I heard Jessica say something about that.
I think it's a pretty big one.
They have an event that no one came asking for any type of donation or anything, so. They said they have 18 different cultures represented or something, is what Jessica said, yeah. I think that's what she said, that was at 1 Million Cups, I heard it. Commissioner Connolly, so I'm sure you heard it.
I was there too, yeah.
I wasn't there, but I watched it online.
I shared it on.
So any other events that we need to talk about for the next meeting? All right, so the next thing is, we had talked about this a little bit before about our 2 subcommittees that we're looking at still doing. I don't have the notes down, but one of them is a volunteer one and the other one is as far as planning the community conversations. Does everybody remember which one that they had said that they would be on? Katie, which one are you?
I thought it was events and volunteers,
Yep.
right? Okay. I think I was gonna be on community conversations.
And then I know Betsy was volunteers, right? Yeah.
I was on the conversation.
Yeah, and Joan, I think. Joan Regulon, right?
And then Tia was on. So we split it up. I wasn't on any of them, but I could definitely come to them, but we split it up as far as that goes. I would say at the next meeting, we need to have a discussion for sure about dates setting up to plan for our events coming up. Because our next one would be the buddy walk, and if we need to do any planning for that, as well as if we want to look for any volunteers for that with us. If anybody wants to, I guess we're not doing a human relations committee event, but if someone would want to volunteer, they absolutely could. And then as far as community conversations for volunteers or
Yeah.
the event itself.
Yeah.
Anything else about that? I had Winnie put These Your Neighbors on there because we are always looking for people to have on the show. So we would love for you guys to come across and let us know if you have any suggestions. Our past couple people have been actually suggestions from the public. Corey Thrall, who actually was released, his episode was released yesterday. Actually, someone will email or message me on LinkedIn about him, and that's how he got on the show. So we have, it's not just T and I picking who's on the show, we're taking suggestions. Coming up, we have Mayor Schmitz's wife, Janelle. She will be taping with us end of the month. She is big on the Make Your Mark. That's new to Bismarck, and it's basically looking for a place where people can go that are new to look for. And I went on it today to look for, like, if they want to find different churches in the area or different nonprofits. I put in for my nonprofit today, or businesses and things like that. It's a very great website to go on if you're looking for where places are, or things like that. I didn't realize there's so many churches. And then she'll be on, and then Megan Dooley we are taping with her. She actually, and I never even knew this existed, she basically has a traveling OT. The traveling OT where she takes her van or whatever she drives in and goes out to rural communities
Occupational.
and does occupational therapy. And then she helps people, especially that get the Parkinson's diagnosis, to look at their house and see what accessible things that they need in their house, or what things that they would need for maybe transportation and things like that. So she's gonna be on it. And then actually we booked, now I was pronouncing her name wrong, Cherise or Cherise.
I think Sharice.
I think it's Cherise, because I think I was pronouncing it wrong, from Community Conversations to be on our tape in our show in August. So, and then also Amanda Gillo from Event Center is taping with us too. So those are the ones coming up, but if you guys have anybody, we do have a few people we want to ask, but we're always looking for recommendations. Our numbers are actually going up pretty high. Like we are 1,000 over the next person that's in the next podcast that's behind us. So let's say we have 1,500, the next podcast is like 100. So we are doing this. This is I think it's because of the guests that we have and how our name's getting out there. Thank you to the city for that, but we're doing very, very well. And I'm glad that these people that are making an impact in our community are able to have that outlet. All right, the budget. So Whitney had ran off a copy of the budget and what we spent so far for everyone. So one thing I believe that for sure that we need is in regards to swag. For the event, we're completely out of notebooks, and I think notebooks go great, especially at the community conversation events, so people can take notes. So I would recommend that we could get more notebooks. And then the stickers, I know we have some stickers, but looking at getting more stickers if we need. And then, did anybody notice, like Betsy and Maribel, you were probably the last two, anything else that we're low on as far as things in that swag?
No, for us, they didn't, but, and I didn't really go through the swag box, we just put stuff back in, but how are we doing with bags?
The bags would be the one I was wondering.
Okay. Because I only seen what we put back in the box, I didn't go through it though. And
I'm
so.
pretty sure we have a box full of bags still and koozies in that cabinet in there.
But we don't have any notebooks, do we, Whitney?
I don't think so.
So that for sure. The other things that we had were lifesavers, which actually went over pretty well, but we had a box of them, so I don't think we need any more of those.
There's plenty left.
And then there's bigger stickers for the water bottles, and then there's the smaller stickers as well. Is there anything else that people could think of? And we have pens. Anything else anybody could think of what we may want to give away at events? Yeah. We do need to probably, I'm assuming this is notes from Whitney. We could probably use more shirts. So who has not gotten a shirt? Betsy, has anyone gotten a shirt? Do you know what size you'd like, Betsy? Okay. And then I don't know if Joan's gotten one either. I know Tia has one, I have one, you guys have one.
I know the last time we did an order, we got kind of a variety of sizes and just had some on hand.
Yeah, that
Sometimes
would
if
be
you,
nice for when we have new member come on.
yeah, so I'd say maybe order a minimum of 20 shirts with a variety of sizes, like maybe 4 mediums, 4 larges, 4 extra larges, maybe some smalls in there, depending on what you guys think.
I think that's good. Anything else that people could think of? So it looks like we've spent, is this right, $1,319.70 so far? It says in the back. Grand total. This is your baby, Katie.
I
We
know,
have to spend.
I know. I was just thinking about that. I was like, oh, I probably should have taken this and, I'll make sure that I like line this up with our budget. But I mean, our budget total is 5,000, right? So I'll take this and, put it into like a budget versus actual or something.
There's no harm in coming under budget either. Especially with all the talks about 3% gaps. Small part of the budget.
Doug, do we need to do, I can't remember, any type of approvals for, we need to order notebooks up to a certain amount or anything like that as far as the budget goes? Like she can order up to this amount for swag?
Whitney, how have we done in the past? I would assume your dollar was it? Or if you had-
I think you guys have just asked me to order like specific things in the past, and we haven't really capped a dollar amount. I try to find the best deal on whatever we do purchase.
How many notebooks were you thinking of ordering?
I think we did 100 the last time. I can check.
If they're cheaper, I think we could probably do more because I think that's one thing that will continually give away. Because people like taking notes.
Next week we have the award, right?
No, we need to talk about that. Another business next. How much did this plaques cost again? The plaques for humanitarian
It was just under 150 last year.
for both
So
of
we'll-
them?
for 2 of them. So then we'll have the third one.
But I said that in there. Yeah, we can take that out.
All right, anything else about the budget? All right. We'll move to other business. So Doug and I met a conversation and we need to readdress a humanitarian award specifically for the adults. And Doug, do you want to kind of explain what happened?
So reviewing my notes, and I apologize first, reviewing my notes. I'm not really confident that I tallied it correctly with kind of the doing it twice. So I would feel a lot better if we did a revote for the individual, the adult individual. Just a lot of confusion for me in the ranking and, I just don't feel great about it. So if you guys are fine with that, I would appreciate for you to revote tonight on that.
So we're gonna just take the three, or the top three that tied. Is how I think would be best to do it, because that was the issue. They were the three that were tied and then we had to rank them. There might have been some confusion how people were ranking them. We just want it to be fair. So what my proposal is I have the three different nominations. So that's for Micah, Stacy, and Gretchen. I'm gonna read, or I can read a part of them, like I took a part out, like the highlights of it, so we don't have to read. Some of them are very long. Read parts of them to remind you guys as far as why they were nominated. And then we can go, and my suggestion would be a blind vote. What a blind vote would be is basically you would just write down who your top person is, who you think should get it. Does anybody have any suggestions or anything? Okay, so I will,
So in the case of a tie, we'll have to do what we did before and get Frank.
I'll clearly explain.
Do you want me to do the spelling? Or-
So the first one I'll do is Micah. Mika is how you spell it. So over the past 4 years, Micah has consistently demonstrated exceptional dedication and leadership through her volunteer work with Designer Jeans. Micah has been instrumental in organizing private events for families with children aged 2 to 6 who have Down syndrome. These events are specifically tailored to provide a safe, inclusive environment where families feel understood, supported, and connected. By bringing together parents and their children, Micah helps create opportunities for families to share experiences, offer mutual support, and celebrate the unique strengths of their children. Micah has been pivotal in ensuring that families receive emotional support, access to resources, and connections to others in similar situations. Her experience has not only enhanced the lives of others, but also her own. In addition to her dedication to Designer Jeans, she is also a busy mother of 3 children, a wife, and a full-time career soldier in the North Dakota National Guard. She has created a beautiful balance between her work, her family, and volunteering. Gretchen. Pastor Gretchen's hard work during this past legislative session to uphold human rights went beyond any idea of religion. She strove every day to advocate for human compassion and decency. She is a pastor, but also as someone who believes wholeheartedly in the importance of every single human being and the rights of all to be happy, healthy, and safe. Gretchen has advocated for many different types of groups of people. She works tirelessly in her advocacy, always showing up when needed. As Gretchen wrote in a recent post, no human should ever be treated with cruelty, period. Gretchen volunteers at the Bismarck Interfaith, Ministry on the Marches, Catch, North Dakota Interfaith Alliance, Banquet, Hope Manor, Heaven's Helpers, Bismarck Global Neighbors, and the MLK Day celebration. As a pastor, Gretchen makes sure to stress all people are welcome at the church she shepherds. Anyone from atheists to people questioning God to people of all genders and ages. Her presence and words serve to demonstrate her idea of Christianity, which is that all people have the right to exist in this world, no matter their position or place. Her words and example inspire many to live in the same way that she does, without judgment and with a sense of empathy. And lastly is Stacy Schaefer, STACY. Stacy exemplifies what it means to lead with courage, compassion, and conviction in the fight for human rights. As the founder and executive director of 31A Project, Stacy has devoted her life to raising awareness and educating communities about human trafficking and modern-day slavery. Stacy's leadership inspires action, and her voice compels others to speak up for those who cannot speak for themselves. Whether serving on statewide task force, nonprofit boards, with her Rotary Club, Stacy leads with both heart and head, always elevating those around her. What sets Stacy apart is just her tireless advocacy. It is also her grace and integrity with which she carries herself. She is joyfully kind, unfailing ethical, and deeply committed to doing what is right, even if there's an obstacle. Her resilient strength is unwavering. Her presence dignifies the spaces she walks into, and her words carry the weight of someone who lives her mission every single day. Stacy's work has also transformed lives and communities across North Dakota, but it's her ability to educate and empower others that will create change for generations to come. She's a humanitarian not just because of what she does, but because of who she is. I cannot think of anyone more deserving. She's a champion in every sense of the word. Any discussion before we vote?
Just one thing on Micah. North Dakota Legislative has it as MICAH. You said K.
Oh, that's Micah. You're doing the wrong Micah.
Oh, is it a different person?
That
Okay.
he won last year.
Okay,
Yeah, yep.
My apologies.
Micah female, so it's MIKKA.
okay, my apologies.
No, you're fine. Anybody have any other discussion? Great, so if everyone wants to write down who they think should be the winner of the humanitarian award,
Just one name.
It's one name. It doesn't matter who it's, how it's spelled. I think Doug can figure it out. Go and hand it to Doug. Or hand it.
Thanks, Doug.
We're not looking at you.
All right.
It's you.
Time to debate.
Hi.
Is it?
2 for Mike and 2 for Stacy.
Yes. Can we give you a word?
Um,
We wait for Ian on then, or?
We need, if we keep waiting, we're gonna be.
I think that's all-
Same
In my
situation.
opinion, it would be a split vote because, yeah, just knowing the two and how they voted before, I think it'd be split again.
Okay.
So that'll be the
That's
third
right,
line.
yeah.
Yep.
Well, do we put them in a hat and then pick it that way?
Because we'll be fair, now, we need another option of choosing it. So that would be it, just grab, we grab. I think that'll
Well,
be-
maybe we should have some discussion about it. Like, I think, so of those two people, I mean, let's go back to, well, it's hard, right? Because they're both very deserving, right? I think the thing for me is going back to the purpose of the award, right? Of someone that is really actively promoting and educating, especially as it relates to human rights. And so there is this part of it for me that it's, I don't know,
Trying to find if I have somewhere. Yes, I do. Okay, so let's read it again, what the award says. It says, okay, the Bismarck Human Rights Committee is seeking for someone who has exhibited leadership in the area of human rights. We want to recognize people that educate, identify, protect, and promote personal dignity with a focus on eliminating discriminatory barriers that will prevent people from reaching their full human potential. The reason why I voted for Stacy is because of how this is worded in here specifically. She takes individuals that are survivors of either human trafficking or labor trafficking and gets rid of those barriers to different things like employment or other barriers that they may have to succeed in our community. So that's why I had voted for her, because I think she meets this definition that we're using.
I did pick Micah because also it's exactly the same definition to me. Because that's a category of people that it's very unfortunate and she does that way. And also falls under that specific group protects because those kids, those people are probably less protected than the ones that fall and then get up and move on with life. But those one, have that capability that will never make a better life for them if somebody will not be by their side to help. So that's exactly how I think.
how would you guys feel about revisiting the original rating summaries? Whitney, would you have access to, because that would be more, I didn't bring them, but,
I didn't,
so then we would feel more comfortable that we're also making a decision that's reflective of, so between, sort the same.
It's sort of the same.
well, I guess depending on how, oh, never mind, let me look at the total. Well, 9 and 9.14.
It was higher than that.
Like yeah, so I'm doing the total, right? That's what I should look at, the total. Yeah,
So Micah scored higher.
yes, she did 9.14 and then Stacy did 9. Well, I mean, we could definitely do it that way. That takes into consideration people that aren't here and their scoring. Do we want to do that? I'm fine with that. Is everyone else fine that we do it that way? Because we're not
I think
gonna
it's
break
better
a
than
tie.
drawing it out of a hat.
Yeah.
Yes. I'll make a motion to award the adult humanitarian of the year to Micah.
Doug, second.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Aye.
I,
Yeah, hopefully that's it. I mean, we just have
Well,
40
sign.
people. So, okay, we have to talk about then when we're gonna award it. So we can't do it this month because we need to wait for the plaques to come in.
It's next meeting, correct? Yep.
So we're looking at, how about to ensure we have enough time? July 22nd. 5:15, is that the time? Commissioner Conley, 5:15,
Yes.
What date?
July
Second
22nd.
meeting in July.
Is everyone good with that?
so we.
Can I ask a logistical question?
Yeah.
How do we normally do it? Like, I think maybe Sergiana, you and I talked about, like, should we give an opportunity to those that nominated
So-
to, do you have any thoughts on that?
So we did talk about that, potentially if the people, I thought about that. I think we can invite the people that nominated them. I don't know if they would want to go up there and speak.
Yeah.
I think that the one who nominated Lauren, I know Rob, he probably would do it. But we need to look at that. But my other thing aside from that is we generally just send out a letter. Not that that's not important. I'm wondering if myself or Katie, or maybe three of us, one for each person can call them and let them know that they want it. Doug, would you as the city be okay with us doing that?
Absolutely.
Okay. What is everyone's thoughts on that? Calling those three, let them know they want it, and then let them know that when the event is to get the award, because then we'll know for sure if they're coming or not. Or they can let it, and then send out the letter as well. But
Yeah,
what are your, do we want to
I
ask
think,
for?
I mean, if I was winning an award, I'd prefer to get a phone call. Is Lauren over the age of 18? Should we call her parent first, or?
217 for some reason.
We wouldn't know her birthday, Lauren's correct.
So, you know Youth Works very well. Do you want me? Because I know.
Well, yeah, that was the only one that I had felt like I had a conflict of interest. I think it would be better because I have some, I work with them so closely at the state level. I'd prefer.
Okay, so I can go Youth Works.
Yeah.
And talk to Mark, who I should talk to.
Yes.
Or I know Emily too, but I'll call Mark
You would call it Mark, yeah.
and let them know. Do you want to call Lauren's parent?
Sure.
And then
And then-
since you guys were so great about you, designer jeans, do you want to call Micah and let her know?
Do you wanna call?
Sure.
Do you have the phone numbers?
I have them on the scoring sheets that we got, so we can give them out.
So,
So we'll call each of them and then Whitney will send a letter to them, letting them know when they're gonna be given the award.
are we gonna also call the person that nominated them?
I was gonna send them.
That's what we thought.
And
discussed, so I.
I was gonna email them
Okay,
because I was certain. Oh, did I have a letter for them? No. Do we want to call or email them? I think we have emails for,
I think an email is.
because I don't think any of them were, like anonymous, because I think there was only one person who wanted anonymous. Yeah, there's email address for Micah for sure. I mean, I know who nominated, well, there's two people that nominated YouthWorks, but I know one of them,
Yeah,
so I
I
can
would
do
just get an
YouthWorks.
email, might make sense.
The nominee for, it's on there too.
Yeah. So I can send the emails out to who nominated them, so you guys don't have to do that.
Okay.
And let them know that, there is gonna be, I did put together a letter to all of those that did not win, to let them know that they were nominated and who nominated them. And I'll send it via email. Just
And
so
those
let
that
them know.
win don't speak, right?
Okay.
But they'll just get up and take.
Yeah,
pictures.
we'll just go we'll probably do it where we do the youth one first, and the adult, and then the organization, I would say, as
Yeah,
far as pictures go.
okay.
But, yeah, I can't remember in the past, does the mayor speak? Or do we speak? And
You guys speak, the mayor introduces you.
Okay.
whoever decides to introduce the person that won there.
We have a meeting before, right? We'll have a July meeting before, and so we can work out those logistics.
So how about by the end of next week, just make sure you make that phone call and report back to you if there's any concerns, right? Like if they're not gonna be available or.
All right. I mean, that was great. I mean, the nominations we got were great.
Well, I mean, I think we should just acknowledge that, like celebrate that as a group, right? Like, I don't know what led to the number of nominations we had. You know, there was a couple of mentions of it. I feel like in commission meetings, I feel like we did a good job of pushing it out to our community contacts, but it's a good problem to have, right? We have some incredible champions in our community, so it's. Yeah, and we'll have to figure out, did this rating process help? Or
disturb us more.
just, it was a hard decision.
And then I'm gonna reach out to Kendra from Designer Jeans, since I know her too, to see if like people from Designer Jeans would want to come and support Micah. And then also Inspire, someone from Inspire is the one who nominated Lauren. She's a youth group, to see if people maybe from there want to come up support her. So people have other people that can be standing with them too.
Yeah, it's great.
That's a really good idea.
It's like third year doing it, so I think I might have it down a little bit. Anything else as far as other business goes?
So,
All right, well, thank you guys for everything. Meeting's adjourned.
do you have Lauren's nomination on you? I know.
No, I only printed, well, I don't think I do. I think I threw those over.